All right, how's it going, everybody? Again, you already know who I am, Latino Heat for Only Trades 365. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Let's go over a few stocks that I got on watch and what a crazy sell-off we had on Friday. I missed it. I was working. I really didn't care. I made my money for the day, but let's go ahead and get started on this weekly watch list. Got a couple things I have on watch. So let's go ahead and start with what I think may or may not bounce this coming Monday. We're going to go ahead and start off with coin. What we see here is obviously we got like a little falling wedge going on, right? Just huge sell off. They had that XRP news, they popped up and just kind of been doing a little bit of this. And you can see how it's just been respecting this trend line. But what we're coming to is this daily demand zone that we got here. And that's where I'm going to be looking for calls. So let's actually mark that. I don't have that marked, so we can get some levels going on here. So for coin, I'm going to be looking for a bounce at 85.35. So you can see the weekly here, we had huge buy volume, some weak sell, followed by some more selling, which not really too convincing there. We got some more selling here again with the big body candle, right? But again, I am not convinced that it is going to continue to keep selling. For one, again, the daily demand zone that we got here. Let's go ahead and draw that out, actually. Sorry. Little technical difficulty here. Okay, here we go. Let's just change that to 08, whatever. Boom, there we go. See how just that lines up here with my hourly level and then this daily demand support level. That's what I'm going to be looking for calls. So we break it down here on the hourly. I don't believe I've charted it. Oh, maybe I have. No, I have not. Add some more resistance levels here. And again, when I mark my support and my resistance, it's the body of the candle, the top or bottom, and the change from green to red, red to green. I don't use these wicks. I actually like this one better. It's a little bit higher. There we go. See that? Much better. All right. So you can see where we're coming to. So pre-market, I'm going to pay attention for this sell-off to come here and watch how we react here for some upside. Not really expecting much of a push, but I mean, we'll take whatever we get, right? And again, we'll get this little range or whatever we get on pre-market for pre-market high, low, resistance support, and then that's where I'll get like my target. So like, let's say we get a pre-market low of, let's say it gaps down and it's 84.61, but then it starts to show strength. Why? Because we're in a daily demand zone, obviously, right? So I drew it out. So I'm going to watch for a bounce here. That's one of the main things I have for the upside. The other stock that I do have on the upside for a watch is Microsoft. Again, kind of got this little falling wedge coming into play. And you can see I was just respecting this right now. Let's go on the weekly and see what's going on. We like to do that first. Start off with the bigger frames to kind of get a direction. Let's clear all this nonsense off. There we go. Huge, ugly, disgusting candle here. Followed with some sell volume so you can see that. And one thing that you start to see here is, if you've known me for a while and how I trade, you start to see these EMAs, they're stacked up when they're uptrending, right? And then when they're downtrending, they turn as resistance. So they are no longer support carrying the stock up, and they're starting to trade under it. And you can see it's starting to, you've seen the trend already. If you already didn't know, now you know, kind of painting the picture out for you. I was watching to see if we could break over this on Friday, which we couldn't. And I was actually in Microsoft calls. They went 200% on Friday. Some people caught those with me. It was a cool trade, in and out within 8 minutes, done for the day. So yeah, got a little bit of a range here, but not really worried about that. I'm actually bearish on this And I'm looking more for, let's delete this, hold on. Go back to my original drawing. So you see selling increasing on the volume. You have a couple of things showing here that there could be some more downside. And then again, you have this falling wedge coming into play. And I think we come down here to this 323. So let's go to these hourly levels. See what the 4 hours doing. Yeah, see, again, couldn't hold above here. Got here, I got out at the top, sold left runners for a stop loss. They got stopped out, obviously. I'm going to be watching for a bounce here on this daily support at 326.25 again for another strong push back up. And maybe retest this at some point this week. Not really too confident on any big moves to the upside again. I am slightly bearish for the time being. But yeah, so I'm going to be looking for a bounce at 326 area with the low of 325.55 for calls. And if that fails, we're going to the next level on the daily support, which would be 323.94. So just something to keep on watch on Microsoft. The next one I have is Meta. We love Meta. We've been trading that for a while, been catching the crazy moves here again. Start off with the weekly. Still strong, in my opinion, you know. Nothing crazy to the downside yet, but it could be beginning to. So we got the strong buy momentum with volume, and you know, they had earnings, and then followed with some weak sell volume. So you got a little inside bar. So 1, 2, 3. Those of you familiar with the 1, 2, 3 buy setup, I learned that from one of my favorite retail traders. Pretty cool. You should look him up. His name's Rake Trades. Awesome trader. Anyways, so you kind of got like this symmetrical triangle here. Draw it out. Not too sure where we're going with this, but we are here on 309.93 for daily support, which you won't be able to see this on here without it being all crazy like that. So we won't come near that. So let's actually go here so you can kind of see what I'm looking for. So again, Meta, it's not too bearish yet, but you can see it's starting to. Again, these EMAs, you know, have been carrying the stock up. They came under, and look what happened here, right? They crossed over, they came under resistance, and look at what's happening here. Same thing. They're starting to cross over here, possibly. So if Meta loses that 309.93, which is daily support, there's really not much stopping it from coming. Look, there's nothing here. There's a gap for one at 301.19, which could be on watch. So let's mark that here. I like to mark my gaps. Gold, dark mustard yellow, whatever you want to call it. So you can kind of see, you know, the buy decreasing. You got a sell signal up here, which followed by that, right? And you had a buy signal right after earnings, and not much happened there, right? Just kind of just ranged in there. And again, the sellers are starting to pick up. So what I'm going to be watching for on Meta is the break of this 309.93 this week for a gap fill, possibly at 301.19 is the price target for that. So we'll play the hourly levels. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and say that it could or it can't. You just kind of just react, right? So again, there's the 309.93 and then the gap fill. And another thing that we can do is, because we don't really have much there. So let me go back here for a sec. So what do we do when we don't have no levels? Bust out these fibs, swing high, swing low. Cool, look at that. 311.28 was that 38.2, getting close to the 50. So now we got some more price targets to mess with. So we already hit the first one. Let's close that out. Kind of annoying there. All right, so now we got 306.89, 302.5, break below that. We feel that. And then we start this bigger downtrend, possibly, you know, for this correction that they want to call. on this bull run that we've had. Crazy bull run. Yeah, so that's what I have on watch for Meta to the downside. So let's go on to the next stock. The next one I have on watch is Tesla. Another one to the downside. So all this big tech's kind of weak at the moment. So again, you just draw your trend lines, kind of get like some kind of guide, I guess. I mean, not like millions of dollars right on these trend lines, right? But I mean, they're good to know to have there. So you got like this little falling wedge again, or it could even be a descending triangle, right? It's not too sharp down, so let's go ahead, because I am bearish again, with a descending triangle. So let's draw out our daily zones, levels, gap fill, right? Trying to get this done real quick. All right. Let's go to blank. Oh, it is on blank. Okay, cool. Now, switch this one back to the daily. Switch this one back to the weekly. And let's kind of see what's going on here. So, huge sell. You had some buyers step in, kind of like a little, not too much of a shooting star. Like buyers were there, but then this next week, they just got smacked right back down. We lost this weekly support that it set the week before. And now we're looking at some daily support zones before we get to the next one, because the next weekly, which you can see it bounced here, see, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, it bounced here. So these are some important time frames that a lot of people ignore. And I like to tell everybody, these bigger time frames are the ones that you're going to be watching. You can play the hourly for the shorter move, but the bigger moves are going to be happening from the bigger frames. So look at what happened here on the weekly. We had weekly support right here. Tap, came back up. So it tapped that 250.07, and then it shot right back up to 264 in 2 days, right? So these are some important levels you might want to mark or start marking, so you don't miss some important moves coming up. So again, it's going to come down here. But one thing I want you to look at, let's go on the 4-hour. We're downtrending, right? So we're on the 4-hour now. You see how it's just riding the ZMAs, whatever, couldn't get back above the 50. Again. And if you look back at history, you can even look back at SPY, and you can see, go on the bigger frames, like the 4-hour, the daily, whatever, when we were in the bear market. What happened when we couldn't break above these? These are going to be your entries. So what I'm going to be watching for is how we react here again on this weekly support coming up. We had this huge selling. So weekly, you see it. Buyers getting smacked. Everybody's dumping on them. The daily, slight increase. Like I said, you see it right here. Buyers showed up. Sellers showed up a little bit more. So I'm going to be watching here for a bounce, for some calls. But if we break below that, nothing's stopping it from 243.24. So it could be the beginning of a bigger downtrend. So we can come up here, look for a quick scalp up here, or 256, whatever. We might even be able to get another 260 retest here. But eventually, I'm looking more to come back down to 243 and this gap fill right here at 234.86. So have that on watch. So we've gone over, let's see, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta. Let's go over coin real quick. I think, did we already do that? I don't remember. I think we did. No, never mind. We won't go over coin. Yeah, we did go over coin. That was to the upside. Pat, that's the other one. So JD Trades called out a sick call out on Friday. Caught 200% on that too for some puts. He actually started another put position for this upcoming week expiration. So those of you that hopped in, we caught it on Thursday, and then Friday we called it out again to, watch out for the break above this 284, which it never came close, for 277.5. So he just huge sell off. They had earnings, came up, shooting star, graveyard, whatever you want to call it, depending on what time frame. Look at the daily. I love playing puts off these candles. These are easy money. You're overextended, huge, move up. And look at what happened here. So it closed out at 287, and now we're 2 days later, $11 move. Pretty nuts. Again, let's see. So swing high, swing low. This is our final price target here. So Monday we could come here, look for a bounce back up. But we're actually going to see possibly, 268.7, that little earnings gap fill or whatever you want to call it. But I'm bearish on cat. So we'll look for some entries on this, but this is just something for you to look at and see how I chart and how I look for entries. We can look for calls here at 274.18. Really not interested in calls at the moment, unless the setup is there. So right here, again, you try to draw out every possible scenario you can think of. I mean, look, it's more like a broadening formation almost, right? Unless you wanted to say maybe this would be the top. But again, it's just a starting of a downtrend, right? Like there's really no reason to be looking for calls, in my opinion, for now. So look for calls here, break below that. We're going to come right back to this 268.7. And we'll reassess whatever's going on with cat. So for cat, we are bearish. If you're in those, congrats. I know JD's on his boat, probably celebrating for another 100K week. My man made 100K last week. Shout out to JD for stepping it up and upsizing his positions, man. It's crazy. That's the third person I know this year that has made over 100 grand in a week. So I'm even making it a day now. So this is possible, just show up, do the work, and eventually, everything just starts to click, hopefully. All right, so next up, I got NVIDIA. NVIDIA, you finally look like you want to finally come down. So let's take a look at this chart and just admire it for a second. So where are we at? 200. What day was this? February 22nd. Okay. So boom. Again, so you can kind of see how I analyze what I'm looking for, right? You see I was just coasting along these EMAs. Boom, boom, boom. Never came below the 21. Launched up even further, right? Put me right here for a sec. And as we're getting closer to it, you can kind of see maybe a possible triple top right here. Hasn't came up again. Hasn't been able to come up above this. And mark this for a sec. This is going to be my daily. Cool. And just so you can see what we just lost. Hold on, let me close that again. There we go. Boom. Okay, so we closed below a weekly support, but we're also in a weekly demand. So kind of not sure what we're going to be expecting here. And we're on the 21 EMA. And look at what's happened every time it's came here. It just sits here for a second, bounces back up. So everybody in puts, thinks that it's going to break, which it might. I mean, everything else is pulling. Why wouldn't this, right? So it's just kind of one of those things you just got to react to, because this is a fast mover. Could pay out really nice. So let's go ahead and mark this real quick. Hold on. We're going to mark our 21 EMA here. Boom. And let's make this solid so we don't get it confused with anything else. Look at where that closed. Are we going to buy puts? Maybe. So we got a little bit of divergence going on here. You got a sell indicator right here, telling you should probably sell. And look what happened here. A couple more days, boom, you got to buy. Let's see, I like, yeah, a little bit of a buy. And then I still got to buy it. Okay, yeah. So you had to buy, sell, buy, possible sell, but it's still held up. You can see that up top. I'm just showing you down here on the stochastic flow. You had a couple missed signals going on here, with this price going, right here it says sell, right? Came right back up. Then it told you to buy right here, but there's nothing going on there, right? And now you got to sell. Boom, it's sold. I really don't judge most of my trades with this. I mean, it's nice to look at. It's a little laggy. I focus more on price action. So let's break it down. Let's see what the hell's going on here. Hourly, 4 hour. Look, remember I marked that 21 EMA. We were under it. Couldn't hold above that, right? Let's go back to the daily. Finally, we might get that move to the downside. And I'm going to show you AMD next so you can kind of see what I'm looking at here. So this is what I'm going to be looking at for resistance. If we break above that, let's rechart this because I haven't done this yet. So I got my hourlies. I don't think I've colored those, have I? Go back to the daily. I don't know why that one's there. 438. Yep. Mark that green. It's important because then you start to delete these important levels, if you don't have any way to indicate what is what, and you're over here charting and then you miss something, and you're like, oh, damn. Well, I'll catch the next one. All right, let's go back. Hourly, 4 hour, bearish engulfing. We're going to see how we react here, possibly. We do have hourly support here and the 21 EMA that we're currently trading under. So let's say we're flirting right here. So I'd be watching for a resistance or reject right here above this to come back down. Otherwise, I'd be watching for, it's actually, oh, hey, that's the 4 hour. We'll keep it the hourly. So I'll be watching for a reject here or here. Why? Because it's daily resistance, hourly resistance, and we could be at the start of a bigger downtrend finally on NVIDIA. So trying to show you guys some possible entries here. So I'll be looking here for an entry for puts, here or here, depending on what kind of day we get. Again, not expecting too much to the upside. Or, I mean, you can draw it out. Look. This is this. Oh, yeah, we'll do that 4 hour. Something like that, I guess. Just to kind of show what I'm looking at or what I think I'm looking at. We had like a rising wedge, broke down. I mean, it would have been better, Friday. So let's say it was something like that, right? And this is bad right now. Don't even pay attention to what I'm looking at, but like you can kind of see it, like without even drawing it. So I'm just gonna say that's what it was. But I am looking for puts this week on the majority of things. AMD daily. Oh, sorry. Daily, it did have a strong move up Friday. A couple of people caught AMD calls last week, after earnings. Dropped and it held an important, super important level. So here's the weekly and here's the daily. And what do you see here that it's holding? This 108.21 that is set back in June 28th. So June 28th has just been holding this. And you can see this here, right? Every time. We have one, I guess no, we won't say that. We'll say this one. So you have this little demand right here, right? You got 1, 2, 3, four times, and you can see it squeezing too. You know, you had your buy right here, it dropped. Are we gonna get another buy? Maybe. You know, you had your sell, buyer stepped up, you got this little doji down to the downside. Could be a shooting star. I wouldn't know, it could even be an inverted hammer. It just depends on how you want to look at it. To me, could be an inverted hammer. Again, you just got to find it. You break it down. You got an inside bar followed by another inside bar after hours. And then you just kind of draw out your levels, right? So since this chart is fresh, I'm not going to show you mine yet. Let's drop some levels so we can kind of see what we're looking at. So on AMD, if it cannot break the resistance, it has room back down to that 108.21, which, all day money, right? Until the more times that we hit that, the weaker it's going to get. So if that 108.21 breaks, we could see 90 possibly in the upcoming weeks. So let's go ahead and draw out some possibilities here of what we can see. So again, these candles are different than this. If you haven't followed me long enough, this is my pre-market off, pre-market on. And depending on how we react here on pre-market around these levels, whatever, however I chart to see what I like is what I go off of. So we're coming to this 115.54. We break below that, we'll see 112.96. Below that, right back down to 108.21. And then below that, 90, which is a daily support. So it's kind of one of those things you just gotta wait and see. You got a little falling wedge right here. You got the reversal candle right here, dragonfly. And it's trying to do something here. We'll see what it does. So this is a key level going into tomorrow. And not really gonna be very short bullish because this one actually looks like it could go higher, Just because everything else is going doesn't mean it doesn't mean AMD will. If AMD shows strength, then it's strong. And what happens if everything comes back up? AMD is just gonna be that much stronger. One more thing I have on watch is Netflix. What was I looking at again? There's just so many stocks. You want to kind of narrow it down, but you also don't want to limit yourself to just 1, 2, 3 things, So let's draw this out. There's our weekly. I'll just do purple for now. And there's our resistance. And look at that. Just look at how strong these are. Like you draw it up before and you can see how we react, later on. So if you're not doing this, you're doing it wrong. Now we're getting to the daily. Boom. Boom. Let's see. Let's mark that. And now let's get some colors going. Cool. Most important, gap fill. Because if you don't do that, you will never remember. Let's see, did we ever fill that gap? Nope. Let's have a gap down there too. Got close. All right. So let's look at this weekly. Disgusting. They had earnings, tanked. Weekly reversal. And then from that weekly reversal, it went, what is that, like $10, $20? So these bigger frames are important. You'll miss out on some good money, playing the short game when you should be looking at the long game. All right, here we go. So daily, we're kind of in this little, green. Yeah, we got a little range going on here. We haven't closed below. Or let's see, where did we get the 427 from? Go back to the daily. Hold on before I start talking. I literally just started. Okay, support, resistance. All right, so we're in this little range here, followed with the buy, right? And what we're going to be looking for is entries off these hourlies, but we're going to be using the smaller frames. So let's chart out the hourly. What do we got going on here? Look at that. That hourly is beautiful right off that daily. Okay, there's really not much going on there. There's resistance, 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 support. The hell that day? What was that, Friday? So we had this huge sell-off, right? But Netflix is still kind of bullish at the moment. You had this huge bullish engulfing on Thursday, and you can see how it never broke below that. And again, that is because that is daily support. So what are we going to be looking for here? We're going to be looking for calls around this area right here. And then below that, we have an hourly support. So daily mixed with hourly, mixed with the weekly. Now you got 3 spots to, look for entries. But this is still bullish for the time being. You kind of got like a little symmetrical triangle, I guess we could say. And then draw that out. Actually, let's draw it out right here because I can see the pre-market too. So you can see it's starting to tighten up right here, right? And then we're going into the after hours into tomorrow. So we're going to get a direction here possibly. So break below this, obviously you already know how that works. You get 1, 2, 3 price targets, and then below that all the way down here to the next daily support. So with everything pulling, I mean, what do you think the odds are that everything else will? But again, if everything comes back up or, news plays, or it's just one of those things that you can't really have a bias because then, you start to get into this like little mental trading thing where you, let's say you're in puts and then boom, they get news and then they go up and now, you're down 30, 40%, you're pissed, you're trying to get your money back and you start making bad decisions. We've all been there. So it's just kind of one of those things where you just watch, react, enter, cool, make sure you have a stop loss. But I am going to be looking for calls here unless this breaks. So these 3 possible entries, or, like how I had that symmetrical triangle, let's say, we start to come up here. We'll watch for the break above this 433.89 for a push here, which daily resistance. So be careful here. So, you could get a move up like this, because that was already there before as daily resistance. And look what happened. You got the fake breakout. 1, 2, back down. You got greedy and you overheld, and now you're red, and now you're pissed. Important to pay attention to. But I'm going to be looking for calls down here if we get there, or watch for the breakout or the rejection. Just kind of one of those things you got to pay attention to. So that's all I have on watch. As for a SPY, ignore my phone. We do have some more room to the downside, in my opinion. I mean, are we oversold? Yeah, but the market doesn't care. Like right here, we were oversold. It wasn't until the next that we finally seen, some life back up to the upside and then right back down. So I expect something like that. Probably sometime this week, we'll fill this gap more than likely. So you look at the daily, look at the weekly. Let's delete this. And then if you watch my last video, let's say, it's pre-market and I already gave you my plan. Again, you drop, I have another chart I draw up and I set up this little range of pre-market high, low, and then, I mix it with what I got drawn out and then I make decisions. You just got to have this, you got to make a plan. But look at this weekly bearish engulfing candle with sell volume slightly, lost the 5, going to the 8, so 444. And what was that? Let's see, hold on. It was 442.97, right? 442.97. Oh, here we go, weekly. Anyways, well, I guess I could just draw right here. Okay, there's your gap fill. Gap fill entry. Daily resistance, daily resistance. Another gap fill up here. Let's draw some stuff out. So if you look at the smaller frames, obviously we're downtrending, you know, hourly, 15-minute, 30-minute, 4-hour, I believe. You know, it tried and then failed, but it started. What is this? Tuesday. Remember, I've been preaching this whole time. Yeah, I watch these EMAs. A lot of people don't really use them. I don't personally, but when I'm trying to figure out what kind of direction we're in or what we're looking for, or if I need entries, I'll turn them on. But once I'm in it, I turn them right back off. I really don't use them, but they're nice to know because you can see the trend clearly. So back to the daily. Cross, resistance, close below the 21. We could even use this as, let's say, you know, we come back to 450 possibly, which lines up with this resistance too. There's just so many ways to trade this market. Now daily 21 in the main. Mark that there. I mean, it's a little bit lower, but let's say, you know, we get like a bounce tomorrow and then everybody starts to be like, oh man, we're coming up and we're bullish. Bang, that would be our reject right here, maybe 1, 2, couple, almost, yeah, it's like $1.10 off. So this would be early entry, and then this is where you would, you know, want to go heavy if you're really bearish for the ride back down. And then this would be your gap fill entry for those, you know, that like gap fills like myself. And then gap fill. I don't need to put that out there because I already know, but that's your entry and then gap. And then, you know, you start to go down lower. Weekly support lines with the daily support. So let's say, you know, we continue this trend back down, get here, fill this gap. Really not much support till 438.18. And again, if you're not convinced, swing high, swing low on the Fibonacci. 61.8 would be where you would pick up calls. So 4445.93. So let's say, you know, we open up a little bit lower, catch some calls for the ride back up, back down, back up, whatever. You know, there's so many ways to find entries, but I'm just sharing, you know, but I haven't watched. So I am bearish on SPY for the time being. I do think we fill this gap this week. I don't know about this. I mean, it could happen. You never know. I might swing some puts for 440 2 weeks out. JD actually started a position for this week. You know, he can take profits anytime. I know he's up fat. So for those of you that aren't in our Discord, check us out. Join up. Again, my name is Latino Heat, and that's all I have on watch for the week. And anything else that I do happen to find the morning of, you know, we go over these pre-market Zooms. I encourage you guys to come join and again, check us out. So till then, see you tomorrow. Pre-market for those of you that are in there. Links in the bio. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and see you guys tomorrow. Peace.